Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing well. In this lesson, we'll go over the most common linking words of contrast. With these linking words and phrases, we are usually comparing a similar aspect of two different people, things, or situations. So consider this pair of sentences. Here, we are comparing the same aspect of two different people, Sally and her sister, and this aspect is height. For linking such sentences, we use a number of linking words and phrases like but, while, whereas, in contrast, on the contrary, and on the other hand. So let us look at how each expression is used separately. The most common way to link two contrasting ideas is by using but. This linking word can be also used to express concession, as I have already explained. So, if you say remember, we said that it goes in the middle of a sentence and it should be preceded by a comma. So it goes in the middle of a sentence. Look at the example. I like playing football, comma, but my brother likes playing basketball. We can also use in contrast and on the contrary. These have the same usage, and they also go in the middle of a sentence, but they are punctuated differently. So they should be used like this. Sentence 1, full stop, on the contrary, comma, we capitalize O, plus sentence number 2. An example: I like playing football, full stop, on the contrary or in contrast, comma, my brother likes playing basketball. We can rewrite this sentence using the same linking words, but we'll put them between a semicolon and a comma. So consider this example. I like playing football, semicolon, on the contrary, small o, or in contrast, small I, comma, my brother likes playing basketball. The next phrase of contrast is on the other hand. So we can use it with on the one hand. On the one hand introduces the first sentence, and we put a full stop to mark the end of the first sentence, and on the other hand introduces the second sentence. Let us see some examples. Example 1. On the one hand, my brother is tall. On the other hand, my sister is short. The second example. On the one hand, I like to earn money. On the other hand, I don't like to work. On the other hand can be used alone. That is, we don't use it with on the one hand. And when it is used alone, as you see, it goes in the middle of a sentence and we put it between a full stop and a comma, or a semicolon and a comma. Sentence 1, full stop, on the other hand, comma, or sentence 1, semicolon, on the other hand, O should be small, comma, plus sentence 2. To better understand the usage of this phrase, let us see some examples. I like rock music, full stop. On the other hand, we capitalize O, comma, my wife likes pop music. The second example, I like rock music, semicolon, small o, on the other hand, comma, my wife likes pop music. Example number 3, I like rock music, my wife, comma, on the other hand, comma, likes pop music. As you see in the third example, on the other hand, goes in the middle of the second sentence. This is a third way of using on the other hand. So we can use it with on the one hand introduces the first sentence, and on the other hand introduces the second. We can use it alone between two sentences, and we put it either between a full stop and a comma, or a semicolon and a comma, as in the second example, or we use it in the middle of the second sentence. It goes after the subject in the second sentence, as in the third example. I like rock music, sentence 1, full stop, sentence 2, my wife, it's the subject. On the other hand, it is put between two commas, likes pop music. As for while and whereas, these also go in the middle of a sentence, and we can also use them to introduce a sentence. So they go at the beginning and in the middle of a sentence. So when they go at the beginning of a sentence, we put a comma to separate the first clause or the first sentence from the second. So we are going to combine this pair of sentences using whereas and while, and we'll use them to introduce the sentence. While I'm very tall, my wife is quite short. So the answer, whereas or while I'm very tall, comma, my wife is quite short. Now let us see an example in which whereas and while go in the middle of a sentence. Here is it. I'm very tall, comma. So when they go in the middle of a sentence, we put a comma before them. I'm very tall, comma, whereas or while my wife is quite short. Well, let us practice the expressions that you have just learned. So this exercise will help you better understand the usage of these linking words and phrases of contrast. As you see, here you are required to combine this pair of sentences in one sentence using the linking words and phrases of contrast given. They are but, in contrast, while, and on the other hand. So let us start. So we said that but goes in the middle of a sentence, and it should be preceded by a comma. We said that but goes in the middle of a sentence, and it should be preceded by a comma. So here you can start either by the first sentence or the second. There is no problem. Of course, if you want to start by the second sentence, you have to make some changes in the sentence. So, this private school is very expensive, comma, but the quality of its education is very good. We can also say the quality of this school's education is very good, but it is very expensive. Let us write it. The quality of this private school's education is very good, comma, but it is very expensive. Well, let us now use in contrast. In contrast also goes in the middle of a sentence, and we can put it between full stop and a comma, or a semicolon and a comma. So this private school is very expensive, full stop, in contrast, capital I, comma, the quality of its education is very good. So if you want, you can put in contrast between a semicolon and a comma like this, and I should be small. We can also say the second possible answer: the quality of this private school's education is very good, full stop, in contrast, comma, or semicolon, in contrast, comma. It is very expensive. Well, let us now use while. So we said that this linking word of contrast goes at the beginning of a sentence or in the middle. When it introduces a sentence, we put a comma to separate the first sentence from the second. And when it happens in the middle of a sentence, we put a comma before it. So we can provide two different answers. So let's start by while. While this private school is expensive, comma, the quality of its education is very good. Or this private school is very expensive, comma, while the quality of its education is very good. Plus the rest of the sentence. Well, let us combine the same pair of sentences using on the other hand. So we said that on the other hand can be used alone, and it goes in the middle of a sentence or within the second sentence. We can also use it with on the one hand. On the one hand should introduce the first sentence, and on the other hand should introduce the second sentence. So let us use it with on the one hand. So on the one hand, this private school is very expensive, full stop. On the other hand, the quality of its education is very good. So this is one way. Another way is putting on the other hand in the middle of the sentence. So we should drop on the one hand, and we put on the other hand in the middle between either full stop and a comma like this, or between semicolon and a comma, and O should be small. Well, this is the end of this video. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you in the coming video. Goodbye.